Hi my beautiful bookish friends, I'm Bowen and welcome to my channel. As this is the first video on my channel, I figured the best place to start would be with the Newbie Book Tag. But first, let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm Bowen, it's lovely to meet you. I'm 31, I live in the UK with my 2 cats, and I love to read, obviously. So with the awkward introduction out of the way, let's get on into the tag. So the first question is, why did you start this channel? I have been watching Booktube content for a very long time now, and I've always wanted to start a Booktube channel of my own, but I've never really got round to it, and I've never really known how to start. So I've just put it off and put it off and put it off. And I figure this year we're not doing that anymore. 2023 is not the year for putting stuff off that we actively want to do. If we want to do it, we're going to do it. We're going to learn on the way. We're going to mess things up for a while, but we don't have to get things right first time. It's a learning curve, and it is okay to suck at something while you are learning. Telling the Virgo part of myself that it's okay to be bad at something when you've only just started it. Also, I just wanted a place where I could unapologetically talk, gush, rant about books, as much or as little as I so choose. Question 2 is, what fun and unique things can you bring to Booktube? I mean, does Booktube need another basic brunette white bitch? No, not at all. But I'm funny sometimes, and maybe you should subscribe so you can see more of me being really goddamn awkward, which is how I feel for this entire video. But we're gonna work through it because I really want to do this. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Fun, 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 fun. Creaky floorboard fun. Woo! Question 3 is, what are you most excited about with this channel? I think one of the things I'm most excited for is to connect with other readers, especially readers that read the same books as me, so we can completely gush about the books that we're reading or completely rant about the books that we're reading. I love talking about books, and I only really have one person in my in real life friends that is a reader, so it's just me and her talking about books, and sometimes I feel like I'm talking her ear off a little bit. If I'm gonna just have a monologue about books, I might as well do it to a camera, you know? Question 4 is, why do you love reading? Special magic in books. I find that I can get lost in a book in a way that movies and TV shows, while I do love, just doesn't really allow me to. I find that I don't really have the attention span for a TV series, but a book I can get lost in for 5-6 hours straight without moving. I don't know why that is, but it's just how my brain works, apparently. Also, reading feels more active for reasons that I can't understand. Like, it feels more like I'm doing something as opposed to vegetating on the sofa with my remote and my snacks. Even though I am vegetating on the sofa with my book and my snacks. I don't know why it feels like I'm doing something when I read, even though I'm literally just reading. That's it. I'm still not moving. Question 5 is, what book or series got you into reading? I've gone through stops and starts with my reading. I read a bit when I was a child, and then it kind of dropped off a little bit. Started up again when I was a teenager, and then dripped off again. And I've read a little bit going through each stage of my life. But when I was a kid, I got really into the series of Unfortunate Events. I've only read the first 6 books. I don't know why I stopped after 6, but I really loved this series. I remember listening to 18-Wheeler by Pink from the Misunderstood album on repeat while reading this book, and like, I would get so mad at anyone that was going to interrupt while I was finishing this book. It's just such a weirdly vivid memory I have of reading this, and I was so happy to find it again in a charity shop. I also read the Harry Potter books and the C.S. Lewis books, but after that I kind of stopped reading for a while. It wasn't really until the summer between middle school and high school that we were given a reading list, and one of the books on that reading list really got me back into reading again, and that was Falling for Joshua by Brian Keeney. I just thought this was a really sweet story. It's about a young girl with epilepsy, and I just had such a fun time reading this, and it got me really back into reading again. After that, I read a lot of Nicholas Sparks books, Celia Ahern books, John Green books, and I became a very casual reader. I'd read a few books a year, but it wasn't like my entire personality the way it is now. But then I picked up this. I picked up Six of Crows in 2018 and I never looked back. I adore this book so much. I read it for the third time again last year. I just sat at the top of my stairs bawling my eyes out. Like, grown-ass fucking woman just sat on the top of the stairs crying over this book. Hopeless. Absolutely hopeless. But that is how you know it's a good book. Question 6 is, what questions would you ask your favourite booktubers? The only question I can think of, and while this is a weird question to ask another adult, but can we be friends? Because that's the only real question I have. Question 7 is, when starting a booktube channel, what do you think is the hardest challenges that you'll have to overcome? I think one of the things I'm going to find most challenging is relearning to edit. Hopefully I can manage it, but it's been a minute since I've done any form of video editing whatsoever. I did film studies in school, so I did a little bit of editing and I used to really love it, but I've not done that in years. And with all of the new updated technology, I'm not really sure how to do that, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully you'll be seeing this and it'll all be spliced together and it'll all look somewhat beautiful. Question 8 is, when did you start reading? I've kind of already answered this one. I was reading a little bit when I was a kid, but it wasn't until a few years ago that I got really into reading to the point where it's basically now my personality. Question 9 is, where do you read? Pretty much anywhere and everywhere, really. I always have my phone with me and I have the Kindle app and I have Audible on my phone, so I always have a book with me. But when I'm at home, I have my reading chair, or I have the sofa, or I'll read in bed, I'll read at work, I'll read anywhere and everywhere. 9 times out of 10, you can find me with a book somewhere in my vicinity. And finally, question 10 is, what kind of books do you like to read? While fantasy is what got me into reading in the big way that I am now, my heart and my soul is a romance reader. It's what I read the most of, it's what I gravitate towards. I love romance. I love fantasy, don't get me wrong, but my heart, my soul belongs to romance books. Romance is my favourite genre. The subgenre of romance depends on my mood, I guess. I read a lot of historical romance last year. Lately, I've been wanting to read a lot of sci-fi and paranormal romance. Like, that is my guilty pleasure shit right there. And I'm an unapologetic KU girly. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please feel free to hit subscribe, like this video. That's probably the only time I'm going to say that because it makes me feel awkward and uncomfortable. But it's been so lovely having you here. Thank you so much for stopping by, and hopefully I will see you soon. Bye. And also the blooper reel for this is going to be just... it's a lot of bloopers. It's a lot of bloopers. Let me introduce. Alright, cool. Learn to enunciate. Get your words out so people can understand you. Dum-dum. Are we going to admit that on the internet? No, we're not. I want, finish a thought in a coherent fashion. Stone Cold Tea. Stop asking the question and then gaping. Just, you're not catching flies. Cute. I don't know. We'll need to pick a new word because I don't know what that one is. Oh my god, it's 1,000 fucking degrees. Whew, awkward. And it really, really touched me, and it touched me. It touched me. Oh, don't make it weird. But if it doesn't, it's okay, because it's my first video and I'm allowed to suck during the first video. Things we tell the Virgo self. Things we tell the Virgo self. You're allowed to suck when you first start something. It's a learning curve. It's okay to make mistakes. Yeah, Virgo me doesn't believe me either. Na 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 na. And maybe you should subscribe. Oh, I hate doing that. Ugh, that feels icky. I'm sure there's some form of content in there that's usable.